So was it ever actually on TV?
No, it was just like on a live stream on their website and on their social media.
Did they have a base?
What do you mean?
To like, like a base of people.
Oh, yeah. I'll show you after, yeah.
Okay. Rachel Fournier? Fournier, right?
Yes.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. This is good because so one of the things that I require of everybody that comes in is you need to give at least one really dope reference, because this is the Enlightened Entourage, and there's kind of a lot to say that every guest would be like a dope individual. So the only way that you can do that is if I know you and vouch for you, if my brother knows you and vouch for you, or anyone else that I would either already have on or vouch for vouches. So I have everyone give a reference, right? And then I was talking to Ben, and he was like, "Dude, you need to have her on. She'd be hilarious."
Hilarious?
Yeah. Well, no, just because I feel like we're both very animated.
Okay,
you know,
that works.
very animated. A lot of times I'll be sitting here talking, and I'm moving this thing around. I'm going like this, and I like laugh at myself when I listen back to it. Like, there's things that I've realized listening back to the episodes that I do now that
you're proud of, or
I don't know. It's kind of cute, kind of not, kind of.
You're like, wow, I'm really cute when I do that.
I did this one thing in Jared's episode where I'm like, and I didn't know I did it at all. So, but I'm glad to have you.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming.
I'm glad to be here.
Good. So what's up in the world of Rachel right now?
Oh, that's such a loaded question.
It is a loaded question, but it's just
Yikes.
a transition. Into it.
Okay, I hope so.
It is.
What's up in the world of Rachel? Well, I have been traveling quite a bit. I did a trip to New York. I went to Hawaii, and most recently spent the weekend in Newport. And I'm just trying to kind of get out in the world more and try different things and, you know, experience summer, I guess.
Newport is nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
You run into like 25 bachorette parties, though. Did you?
No.
Every time I go to Newport, there's like 25 bachelorette parties.
What?
Yeah, and there's that one arcade. You know the arcade I'm talking about?
Yes, I know the arcade. It was raining, so the arcade was top
You
of
went to the arcade?
list.
There's a lot of good food in Newport too.
There is good food.
You know, what'd you do in New York?
New York, I have a lot of eating, drinking, maybe some clubs, just basic stuff.
Oh, basic stuff. Just being basic.
Just being basic. Yeah, that was Cinco de Mayo weekend, so it was
so
fun. There was like festivals and like food feasts going on in the street. Yeah, so it was a good time.
Do you like clubs?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I'm probably a little too old to be saying that.
Why? You're not that old.
Not that old, but I probably shouldn't still like them this much.
No, it's fine. The one thing I like about the club is the same thing I like about the strip club, which is that doesn't matter what, well, depends on the club, I guess, but it doesn't matter what time of day. When you go in there, it's a completely different environment. So it's not necessarily that I'm talking about what's going on in the strip club. It's just you walk in the door and like you could be on the other side. Yeah, you could be on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be just there. I kind of like that feeling.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, it's like a vacation from wherever the hell you're at anyway.
That's a good point. I've never looked at it like that.
Yeah, I really like that. But regular clubs, I need to be with a good set of people. Just like a music festival, but in clubs it's more needed because at least at a music festival or something, I could be like, what's your name? And you could hear me say it.
Yeah, what's your name? Right, exactly.
And you worked in clubs a lot too, right?
I have.
Did you?
Yes, I have. I've had my fair amount of club experience for sure.
And what'd you do? Just bartend? Or?
No, I did bartend. I've done bottle service. I've actually managed. I was a VIP host for Ocean Club back in the day. So.
Oh shit! I remember Ocean Club. Damn, I remember someone doing a belly flop into that 2-inch deep pool and getting fucked up. They just totally thought it was a deep pool and got
There's no such thing as a deep
themselves.
pool around here anyway. No.
What happened to that place?
I think there was a little too much
drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got shut down.
Kind of easy to slip that in there, like.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it was big too, right? Like a lot of people.
It was the largest outdoor venue in New England.
Are there any other? So what are other outdoor venues?
I don't know. I just was told to say that when I was.
Yeah, it's a selling
Still
point.
got it.
Well, none of them are gonna care.
And I still got it.
Yeah. So when you managed, did you manage there?
Well, that role was sort of a hybrid role that was created for me. So there was a management aspect to it. Like I was definitely overseeing the bottle girls. They were much of my responsibility, especially when we went on to do other venues. So there was Splash and Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was more of the definition of a manager when I was at Alibi.
Oh, okay.
Less of a club.
Did you like managing in a restaurant or club vibe?
The thing I like about it is that you really don't have like the same day-to-day things happening. So like, and you have to be able to think fast and on your toes. Like there's stuff that just happens and you have to be able to react quickly, but not overreact, if that makes sense. So I think that part of that industry is really fun and can keep you really, really bright and on your toes. So
like quickly, but not impulsively.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which a lot of people don't have that skill set.
Sure.
I mean, look at driving.
I'm a great driver.
I'm a great driver too, and I love driving. But being a great driver means you see a lot of dipshits on the road.
For sure.
You can't even believe that they even did that, and then just dumb that metaphor down into regular life, and you're living around a bunch of slobs. There's more slobs in the history of the planet now than there ever was, ever.
Well, is that based off of an increased population or?
Yep. That's one of them.
Okay, so
we're scaling to 8 billion. And then it's also, like 3 lifetimes ago is when or maybe call it 4, is when we actually started like doing agriculture to a degree in which it made us stop moving around. And then so did all of life stopped moving around. And then slobs. Like, it was kind of hard to have.
I was hoping you were just going to say sloths, but slobs.
Nah, slobs is better. I'm going to start doing comedy because I know for a fact of how many slobs there are in the world. Because I work at the Wilbur now, right? And I'm getting my bachelor's in comedy. And the shit some people laugh at, it's like, yep, that was clever. Yeah, that's interesting. That's kind of funny. But they're slobs. That's why.
Wait. You think you lost me there?
Yeah,
so
I think.
There's slobs because there's an increased population. There's slobs because people laugh at things that they shouldn't laugh at.
Just because, like, you're so simple-minded. Like, you were. See, it's hard to be simple-minded when you're not a slob because you work harder. So you're less simple-minded. That's just probably a bit. Yeah.
That's a mouthful.
It is.
You might have to get that tattooed on you so I can refer to it.
Next to like no regards. But I just feel like people just stopped. I don't know. Oh, well, no wonder we have all these issues in the world, right? Because you don't need to do anything for yourself anymore.
No, definitely
Everything's
not.
done. Right?
Definitely not.
So that craving to be in nature, even versus the gym, and even getting to the gym in the first place, it's all like we're
so I'm not a
supposed to
slob.
move. You're not a slob.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure.
I don't think so. I've been writing comedy because I'm actually going to do comedy, right? So, and Nick and I will go back and forth. He is like the person I need to bounce off a lot of things. And we are going through slob things, right? So some of the things that make you a slob, right?
That's a good Instagram handle. Slob things?
That would be really good.
Just saying.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. It could even be like the title of my comedy special one day. Just slob things. You want to know how you're a slob?
How?
and
Enlighten me.
And here's what we needed to make a distinction against. So it doesn't mean that you are a slob by like definition. He's gonna love it. He's gonna love hearing this in the background.
He can't hear us. He's got headphones on.
Okay, so you may not be a walking, talking, only a slob. Like if you're a Pokemon and your name was Slob, maybe you're not that, but you would be a slob. You'd have a slob characteristics if like you were a guy and you didn't cut your toenails and they were hurting inside of your shoes. Slob. That's a slob move. If you take a shit in a toilet and you flush it and it doesn't all go down the drain, slob move. If you don't flush it again, right? That's a slob move.
Okay, yeah, I agree with all of these
So
things.
name a couple of slob moves.
If you blow your nose without a tissue.
What? that might go cut straight to lazy. I mean, that's definitely a slob thing. What do they do with it after?
That's what I mean. Then they're like, what do you do with it after?
All right, what else? Name something else that's a slob move. We are going for way too long about slob moves.
I don't know what's a slob move. Like,
just think like if you were talking to a guy and he did something and it disgusted you and just like, what? How could you know? Like if you leave your laundry.
Guy comes over and tells you he's gonna light up your bathroom.
Oh yeah, that's like an arrogant asshole slob move. Like that's got a few things mixed into it.
Like you don't have to tell somebody like that, right? Like you can just do your business.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you got a couple like issues that are just on a different level, and you're like, "There's no other way except leaving." Like, you ever watch a show and they're like, "Oh, I had to turn on the shower, the sink, so that no one could hear it." Like, if you're over my place and we're on a date and my shower turns on and you're in the bathroom, I know you're not taking a shower, right? It's a dead giveaway.
Yeah, but that's not a slob move.
No, it's not. If anything, it's like a.
You can respect that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of respect. If you have like road marks in your drawers, you're a slob.
That's a slob.
If you ain't change your drawers every day, you're a slob. Mm-hmm.
I feel like you've put a lot of thought into this.
Well, I've been writing comedy and recording comedy, so we were like needing to think of things that were just like kind of like nasty and disgusting. Why would you do that?
Yeah,
because that's the best. Everyone could get along when they talk shit about other people.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a way to relate.
Yeah, so off the slob tangent.
Okay.
But yeah, getting out.
Now I'm going to be thinking about slob things all the time.
Oh yeah, you're going to end up shooting me a couple texts like,
I'm going to be
listen.
repulsed by people that didn't used to repulse.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if your pants are sagging but you're not like trying to be a hip hop like too cool for school kind of guy, you're a slob.
Yeah. So
and
like
the other
butt
ones are just
crack
idiots.
thing, slob, yeah.
Yeah, just
Toe
idiots.
jam.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you collected it when you were a kid, that could just be like biologists. So we'll get off the slob stuff. But did you feel a difference? So I'm gonna jump subjects hard.
Okay.
But you just went to Hawaii.
Anything from slob is probably pretty.
Yeah, but if you along the conversation, if you think of slob shit, just throw it in there.
All right, I'll make sure I let you know.
Okay, so you just went to Hawaii.
I did.
For how long? Not that long, right?
No, like 10 days.
Oh, really?
9 nights, yeah.
Damn. So did you actually feel like a
mermaid?
Okay, so you did. That was exactly what I was going to ask.
I figured.
Yeah.
That's how you'll probably feel.
Did you see that stupid ass documentary? It's the largest grossing documentary on all of Discovery Channel. Was one they did about mer people. And it was all bullshit. It was all fake.
How do you know?
Because they said it and it's in the fine print at the end.
What?
Yeah, Discovery Channel
Discovery Channel put this on?
Yeah.
Are they allowed to do that?
They did.
Slobs.
So, there you go. Discovery Channel is being slobby. Like real slobby with that shit.
Slobby AF.
Slobby AF. That's like a nasty rapper name. Like, that kind of sound comes out of his mouth. But did you actually feel like a difference being in nature?
Yes, I did.
Compared to the city? Did you
Yes.
grow up, or you grew up where?
I grew up an hour outside of the city, central Mass. So a lot of fields, for sure. Like most soccer competitions or whatever you want to call them all happen out where I grew up.
You played soccer?
Yeah, I did. Everybody did. It's like mandatory
I was just
when you grew up there.
that. Yeah, I think everyone in any suburb community plays soccer. I did.
Okay. I didn't know if you were like judging me.
No. I'm saying I thought of that earlier. Like I played soccer, And then everything just became really broke, and we had not enough money for place team sports or to get rides, so all my sports became independent sports.
Yep.
Sports. Like MMA, boxing,
cool.
mixed martial arts, anything that I didn't need to be on like a specific schedule.
Team,
Yeah. And that's kind of, so you do GoGarbaj. Can you tell, right? Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you
I would have corrected you.
Can you kind of give like a high level of like what it is?
High level of GoGarbaj. GoGarbaj is a curated boutique of secondhand, upcycled, and local brands. So it's built around the idea of sustainability, being more eco-friendly, not buying, things that are made in masses and destroying the earth. So that's kind of the essence of it. It started off with closet cleaning, so actually going to people's homes and like being super creepy and like going into their closets and going through all their shit and just taking it. And then I started to actually do something with that, and I started reselling the clothes.
So the closet cleaning happened first.
Mm-hmm, yes.
So being creepy happened first.
Yeah.
And then, so what's kind of like, can you break down the business model? What do you do for people?
So
closet cleaning is loose. If people are thinking room raiders, like
I know it sounds
98.
Really MTV.
Yep.
Get out the green.
Yeah. Get out the light.
So it entails me going to someone's home, like they already know they want to get rid of things. I usually have a conversation with them before to find out, is this going to be like an hour-long session, or do you already have the stuff like in a bag or in the corner of your closet and you know what you want to get rid of? So once we get down to business, like knowing exactly what it entails, I come and then I work with them based off of our previous conversation, whether I'm going through their closet and pulling what I think is outdated or maybe just doesn't fit. Like they say, okay, this is now my job. My lifestyle's changed. Or I just had kids. I shouldn't be wearing crop tops anymore. Like whatever it might be based off of that.
Guys wear crop tops?
I mean, yeah, some of them.
Damn. Sorry.
It's a new age. It's
a
new age.
age.
So from that point on, we go through their stuff, pull it, and then I'll give them like a quote on what the like estimated value of the resale value is of those items. And then I'd sell them. And I sold them third party, eBay, blah, blah, blah. And then I bought a truck, an old produce truck, and I turned it into a store on wheels. And I started selling at markets with my business partner, Jesse. And then with that also came like collaborating with cool brands that took old vintage stuff and they were what's called upcycling. So taking stuff and like tie-dyeing it, distressing it, whatever it may be. So then those brands became part of the business model as well. And then we started working with local brands that were also making things, that were not mass made. So yeah,
custom,
right? So yeah, it sort of just grew into this curated boutique of these sustainable ideas with clothing and fashion, and my business partner is running a store, and I'm looking to sort of grow the business e-commerce.
So you do more of the e-commerce than now, right?
Yeah. So I took some time to sort of look at the business model and try and figure out what are the appropriate next steps. Like, I got away from men's. I'd like to bring men's back into the picture. Over time, there's been an influx of people that have reached out that are males to have their closets cleaned. So it's kind of interesting. I'm not, exactly 100% sure of the direction yet, but it's not done.
So did closet cleaning stop?
Closet cleaning right now has stopped. Yes. Yeah.
So where do you primarily find whatever you either put in the store?
Oh, so actually no. So for the store, my business partner still does the closet cleanings.
Oh, she still does it. Okay.
Yeah. But as of right now, until we decide what we're going to do with e-commerce or with men's, closet cleaning is put on hold.
So there's a lot of SLOBs listening that are going to be like, what is she talking about when she says e-commerce?
Okay, so I can agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so e-commerce, I mean, shopping online. So it's an online retail store. You'd be surprised how hard it is to do something like that.
Yeah.
You think it's easy, like they're like Wix, like build your own store, $100, and the next thing you know, you need marketing, retargeting. You got to understand like certain like buyer ticks, and yeah,
so what
it's
do you
complicated.
So what do you do for it? Because like, all right, so my background is I ran business development teams. I've scaled marketing and sales teams. So everything that I've done with marketing, a lot of the Google click shit, a lot of this just statistics breaking down for specific campaigns into marketing automation, and then figuring out, you know, how to properly rate certain visitors or people that get back to it. So what do you...
So we're not doing that right now. So that's guess where
like
the holdup is, because that's, you know, you have to be ready.
Yeah.
Like once you start doing that and pumping money into ads for clicks and retargeting, anything like that, Google AdWords, like you need to be ready, because you can kill yourself so quickly if your items are not going out the door when they're supposed to. You can really hurt your business. So
that was the most important lesson. So believe it or not, out of all the jobs I've ever done for enterprise companies or for small companies or whatever, the one that I learned the most, period, was it was called the entrepreneurship, or what was it? Collegiate Entrepreneurs, right? So this was one of those college painting companies. However, the way that they ran it was not about just the profit. It was, we want to be the number one source of entrepreneurial knowledge to college students before they get in. Let's give college students a macro aspect of all the facets of running one's own business. And they put you through a pretty rigorous, you know, sales training, marketing training, whatever. But one of the more important lessons where I hear some people dumb down other people, and wrongfully so sometimes, that I learned was you need to be able to hit the ground running. So this was simple. The only reason, so people hear paint and they think like, okay, it's nothing. But listen, they needed to choose something extremely simple in the first place, so that if you lost an employee or needed to hire another one, the amount of time to train wouldn't be long. Or basically an idiot could do it. And then you're going to find out how hard it is to find good help anyway. And then you need to understand, maybe I'm great at scouting the area, getting new business, doing estimates, but what happens when part of your day-to-day is, I'm telling 10 people I will give you 40 hours of work a week, rain or shine. Now you need to balance your production schedule, and the amount of time it takes to get a job versus complete a job are two very different things. So it might take you a few weeks to get one job that takes a crew of 5 a couple days to finish, and they're working 10-hour days, and you need to give them 40 hours. So then you become the manager who is trying to manage a production and new sales schedule and getting more down payments and doing more estimates at the same time. And you'll cripple yourself into the ground, and you'll lose the good help that you actually do have. So a lot of people don't get that.
No, you can't outgrow yourself. You got to try to keep it as simple as possible. It's tough. It's kind of a vicious cycle, right?
Yeah. So what have you ran into that was the toughest of it?
Well, I think when we first started doing the e-commerce site, we weren't understanding why we weren't, things weren't flying out the door. And then all of a sudden you have a bunch of stale inventory and you're reselling, right? So these people are trusting you with their garments, and you're not paying them up front. You're paying them when the item sells. So
do they get a deposit?
They don't get anything until the item sells. That's how consignment. There's a lot less overhead.
Yep.
But what happens is, you think you have this huge following and you're posting all of this material, and all of a sudden it's not moving.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, why isn't it moving? So now you need to understand, who's coming to my site? Like, what's the demographic? Yeah, what are they into? Especially with consignment, you're not selling one brand.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't, when you're selling one brand, you can kind of
There's
figure
data
out
points.
what the person, like if I'm going to create a clothing line, I'm going to have a girl, my ideal customer is going to be 25 to 30. I'm going to make sure that, you know, there's like hip hop inspiration because Nicki Minaj and Cardi B are running the scene. Like you're going to know what sort of factors are going to play into the style of the things that people want. But when you're selling consignment, you're selling to a much larger market, right? Because I'm selling 1,000 different brands.
Yeah.
So to know what's going to pull people in, I don't know what's pulling people in. So they're not they need to become dedicated to my brand, which is
It would
encompasses 1,000 brands. So it's really difficult on e-commerce to do consignment. I do think there's a way, and I will figure it out. But you know, if you're not a large conglomerate, it's very difficult because you don't have endless items and endless, obviously, money to invest in the like
tools in order to solidify the market.
Yeah, and to bring it, and then you need a lot of hands on deck, and you know, it is labor intensive, right? Like we're closet cleaning.
So this is what it
tagging.
makes me think about. It makes me think that because obviously if you're not one of the bigger companies, then like data points aren't available when it comes to style. Like we have a lot of algorithms, we have a lot of things. Maybe you could get down to this person is this size, this person has like these brands, but then after that, like the finesse of style gets lost in what you might be able to measure, at least in today's standards.
Sure.
So then before the podcast, we were talking about like the interns look, right?
Yeah.
Because if an intern can look at someone and go, okay, and I could scour your your Instagram page and kind of know Rachel's style. Well,
Sure.
then if I can adapt, if I can scale someone to look at styles, well, they already know my inventory. So then it becomes about the push. So for me, it's always been more about the push because I did a radio show in college and it was with 91.1 WMUA, like fucking ain't nobody heard of it. They're famous for like polka and whatever, right? And we'd get 500 to 1,000 plays per episode of this random college station. But it's because I had interns pushing it to the right people, to the people we played,
100%.
etc. So when you just wait for it to come,
Yeah.
I mean, not to be like too
no.
You know, it's drug dealing one-on-one. Like,
Yeah,
what, you know, you're just gonna. I got great shit. Hopefully, people show up, and it becomes difficult, and then you realize how much time it takes to manage your platforms.
Right. So that's the struggle, right? And we did such a good job when it came to events because we were able to create a community around the brand locally. So we did an event in Boston. We'd have 300 people there. We do a fashion show. We had it, but like, and we were really hardcore about collaborating, and that was, you know, we were successful on a local level. But it's like, how do you bring that into the e-commerce world? And I know how important relationships are, and that's why, you know, the store will do well, but in order to like scale this business model, like there has to be more. So there has to be more Rachel and Jesse's, you know, and that's where I'm at right now. It's figuring out, how do I scale this? How do I bring this online? And, you know, can I replicate Jesse and I?
So that's what I was going to ask you. So when you talk about like a training program that you could give to someone that you wanted to bring in, what comes to mind for like, what would you, and if you don't want to give away any of the sauce.
No, it's fine. I honestly, I don't even know. I mean, it's a pretty fresh idea, you know, this whole like replicating us in the model. But I mean, a lot of things. It's definitely would be, I'd have to interview these girls because I'd have to just get a sense of their being, like who they are.
For sure.
Like they got to be cool. Like Jesse's super cool. Like everybody loves her, girls and guys. Like they also can't be intimidating. Like I couldn't have a girl who thinks like she's like all that and is like, that wouldn't work either, because this person you're going into people's homes. Like I usually show up with a bottle of wine. Like that's how we did it in the beginning. You know, it was like we show up with champagne, we show up with wine, we hung out with these people. Like,
did they pay a fee for you to just come over?
No, we took a heavier commission percentage.
Would they give you a heads up on kind of some of the inventory that they had beforehand?
Yeah, usually, we'd like stalk them a little bit. That was like actually a very honest answer.
No, I mean, that's...
But you can't manage, it's actually wild how many people will reach out for closet cleans. I mean, there's no, that's not an issue. Finding people that'll give you merchandise is not the problem. It's like the right merchandise, the right people, and then reselling. It's not so much the getting the inventory. Everybody wants to dump their crap on you. It's like crazy.
Yeah, especially when the right person is there with the pitchfork on the thing that they've been on the fence about, even though they haven't worn for the past 2 years or whatever, and is sitting in there and is worth a lot of money. Like, the only thing that's keeping them from keeping it in there is not another person being in the room saying like, are you wearing this? Like,
exactly.
They're just having the conversation in their head.
Right. And I think that's also what's super important about like the touch points. I know that for fashion resale, at least, there's a lot of apps and like do it yourself ways, right? Like there's eBay, but now there's Poshmark, and there's all these different apps, but nobody wants to be bothered with. They don't want to be bothered with it. It is a pain in the ass. And then after that, it's like the majority of people don't even recognize half the things they need to get rid of.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody asks, how many pairs of jeans do you have? Well, how many do you actually wear? It's usually like 2.
Yep.
Out of the 30. And that's the statistic. I mean, that's, it's fact.
Yeah, and jeans are expensive.
And they're expensive. Your jeans people pay $200, $300 for jeans. You should get something back for them if you haven't worn them.
You really should.
You really
and if you go to fucking Plato's Closet, they're going to give you 12 cents for them.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
So, there's definitely money to be made. It's definitely a good thing. Like, there's issues with cotton and how it's grown and water, and there's definitely issues surrounding the earth concerning like the mass amount of fashion, clothing that are being made. So
when you are trying to do something better for the planet as well, what happens when you run into a resale of a brand that is clearly not doing something good for the planet? Do you say, because I could get on board with, listen, it's not us and we're just reselling it at this point, so you want the fucking deal or not, versus don't try to pin Banana Republic's like asshole.
I've resold Zara.
Yeah.
Like, what good is it going to do if I turn that away?
I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? It's just
Bring a vegetarian. Are you a vegetarian?
No.
You are. You definitely.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'm not.
Why'd you say it like that?
I thought you were going to use it against me.
No, not at all. I'm just saying they'd be the ones that'd be like, yeah.
Can I phone a friend?
No, you're good. I just feel like there's a lot of people if you looked at it like food, that would go, well, what do you mean there is no good or bad here? Like, even though it is there, you're bad if you use
consuming it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not hardcore. I did have my moment in time where I was like, I only wear secondhand. Like, I think everything is balance. Maybe that's right. Maybe that's not. Yeah. I don't know. I just think I try to be smart when it comes to my spending, and I love to shop, and I know that my life consists of a lot of different things. So like it's not just like I put on one outfit, a suit every day. Like, I like to work out and do all these different hobbies. So like I change a lot. So I can't afford to pay top dollar, and nor do I want to. Why would I? I think that from a financial standpoint, it's smart for people to.
It's very smart,
especially young people. I can only imagine there's like a lot of pressure from. This was one of the things too, like from a social media aspect. Like, you used to only be photographed going to a wedding or like a big event. Now we photograph ourselves.
Everything.
When we take a breath, like we constantly photograph ourselves, and so girls like. How often do you hear them say, like, I can't wear that. I wore that, like, in a picture a year ago. Like, now we're taking pictures all the time. So now nobody ever wants to wear the same thing. And it's like, financially, that's so irresponsible.
Yeah, that's very true. Not to mention, it kind of forces you to buy at the rate in which you kind of like take pictures or would shuffle through things and be a little bit more impulsive with shit and have the shit that does end up sitting in your closet after one wear.
And that's the other thing.
Well, you definitely have a market for.
There's a market. There's some solutions out there. They're definitely not for everybody. Everybody will have something negative to say about all their different reselling processes. It's just the way it goes. I'm really focused on good customer service. Like, I think relationships are really important. I know that we've gotten rid of a lot of touch points with technology, but I still think that people
still buy from people. They always
is so
will.
important. So
I
think, the idea of, and I think people too that have money, like, and their own expensive things, like, they want that service. They don't want to schlep their clothes.
Yeah.
So to have somebody come in and have it be a pleasant experience and then just keep them in the loop with 100%. What's going on, I think that there's a lot to be said about that.
Because even if a person laid out all the benefits, the money they can make, whatever it is it's going to do for their style, even if they did that all up front, but they weren't going to be there for the process, they would just look at it like another ad. They wouldn't want it. People are craving interaction right now. Are you a fan of Gary Vee?
Oh, I haven't read, like...
Jab, 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 hook. Jab, 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 hook is one of his books. That's a good one. But I'm only asking because you're in a business that... So Gary Vee's big on document the process. And one of the reasons why I love doing the podcast, bringing you on, bringing other people on, is because... so my boy Brodie Fresh is on, right? He's a rapper. He's about to go on tour with Tory Lanez. He's doing big things. But at the end of the day, you may not listen to hip hop. You may not like hip hop, but do you like Brodie Fresh as a person?
Yeah.
And now when the people get to see Brodie, when the people get to see Corinne or Jared or Parlay or Kathleen or anyone else that I've had on, when they like you, they're far more likely to talk about GoGarbaj, about these services, that, hey, maybe you should do this, even if they would never touch it themselves.
Right.
And then I saw one of your Instagram posts. It was like a little bit further down in the GoGarbaj thing, but you had on your glasses and you were just like, I think you said something to the effect of, I just got like seriously, people, just buy secondhand. Like, I just got two pairs of...
That was my first video I ever, my first like public, and that was like when I first was like really going with it.
Yeah,
it was
so
such
I
an
like
honest
that.
Post.
I like that, and I think that there's definitely a couple things that, whether it's fucking do-it-yourself lighting or whatever, that you could finesse to have a nice video. But I think that aside from people liking Rachel for Rachel, what you're telling me about why people should want to do it, or even if that's the consultation of going through their old clothes, or just about the, like, this would be a great ad, how you just already said, like, we take pictures as often as we breathe. Like, that is some of the expensive ass marketing that you try to get out of a nice logo or a good ad or whatever, is literally that being real and cutting to the point with that.
Right.
So I feel like even, I guess this is kind of to the same point, but at least in the real perspective, for finding people to help you with your work, it's easier than you think. So when I've hired interns in the past, when I've hired them for the radio, okay, and even for corporate America, right, I'd hire new employees, whether a business development rep or just an intern. That all the interns I've hired are in like corporate of other companies, or like corporate Italy now of other companies. But I'll always ask you, name 3 of your favorite artists and why. And when I say artists, I mean anybody who creates. You could be a businessman and you could be an artist. You could be a musician. You could be whatever. 3 of your favorite movies and why. 3 of your favorite songs and why. And what they don't realize is that part of the reason why I'm asking them is because I shouldn't be able to judge you on everything I haven't taught you yet. So if I ask you a question and your job is going to be sales or marketing and you don't know anything about what I'm telling you yet, well, maybe I shouldn't give you that hard of a time if you can't explain it. But if you're going to tell me you fucking love it and it's one of your favorites, then you should be able to sell me on it. When I say, and why, you should be able to tell me. And the funny thing that happens is when someone knows that line in that book that you love, or that song, or that artist that you resonate with, it's almost like all the other bullshit you would have.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can connect, right? And then you can ask them. So of course, there's efficiency things. What kind of browser do you use? Things, because
That sounds so much less interesting.
So much less interesting, but it's so much more like the traditional interview.
Sure.
Which is stupid, but IBM, and they will ask you things like what browser you use, because if you use Safari and you have a Mac and you have not gotten Mozilla or Chrome, you're gonna be less efficient. That's just the statistics. They used to even.
That's wild.
It is.
I'm so old school in so many ways. I would definitely be. They would think I'm a slob.
I love how slob came back up in that. Well, IBM also, they got in legal trouble, but they used to to actually.
Now we're blowing people up.
I don't care. It's fucking IBM. They can take the hit.
True.
They used to have a parking spot for people who were interviewing. And while you were in the interview, someone would go down and
look at your car.
Look how clean your car is on the inside. And they got in trouble for that. But that used to be a part of the interview process, which I can't really blame them for. I'd want to know too. Is this motherfucker a slob? But
for sure.
Yeah, but it does work. So
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fucked up, but
I know. So have you always been an entrepreneur?
I think so. By default, yeah. I mean, I've kind of always been a little bit of like a hustler.
Yeah, because when I was in the shower earlier, I was thinking like, okay, what are some of the things we could go through? And I just had this thought that was like, I know a lot of people that are hustlers, and their childhoods went a little bit differently than everybody else's. So I was wondering about yours.
No, honestly, like nothing crazy. I just have always had this way of like bartering with people. Like I always, as a little kid, I loved clothes from the time I was like 3 on. When I was 3, I told my mother it was my life and I'd wear what I wanted. And she was like, okay,
when you were 3?
When I was 3.
You said that when you were 3.
When I was 3. She'll tell you it's like her favorite story. And she they embraced it. That I was like weird. Like I would wear weird things. Like I only wore denim for an entire year. Like overalls.
Jacket and some bedazzled
like
shit.
Like overalls, like every single day. My mom's like, whatever. Like my aunts and uncles would like say things to my parents. They'd be like, no, it's not worth the battle, trust me. It's like I always had these like weird things about myself and I always wanted to try everything, and I was, definitely a character. And I think when I got to high school, I'd like barter with my friends. Like I'd tell them I'd give them my clothes if they'd like do things for me. That was a common one because my parents would like shop. My mom loved to shop, so we'd shop all the time. And my friends, actually, I had this like little couch, like love seat in my bedroom, and then my friends called it the revolving chair. And they'd be like, every time we come here, you have new clothes on the chair. So I would bribe my friends, like get them to do things, and I would give them clothes off the revolving chair.
Was it worth it? They were doing
like I'd get them to like braid my hair, like really like silly shit.
So you real bartering.
I was like really bartering. I'd be like, you like I don't know, just like weird stuff, like rides to school, whatever I wanted or needed at the time. I'd find a way. So that continued. I started working when I was like 15. I guess that's pretty normal, but
that makes sense. Anything that you wanted or needed, right? So I think that anyone that hustles is only doing it because they for everything they want or need.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But so when did it become more lucrative?
So I started working for we're still waiting for that part. I started working for a nonprofit after college, and Dress for Success. So they dress women that are re-entering the work world that are in like an unfortunate situation. They're in an agency, whether it's like Rosie's Place, like a homeless shelter, or they're domestic abuse victims, or whatever it may be. We help them get back on their feet by giving them clothes for job interviews and setting them up with interviews and teaching them resume techniques and just some basic things that these people unfortunately don't get access to. And so the way that we got the clothing, I mean, our budget was not big, it's a nonprofit, would be through donation days. So we do donation days and people would drop off their stuff, and then we had volunteers that would go through everything. And so we're dressing these women for cashier jobs, and we were getting like Chanel bags and like all this stuff that really wasn't necessary for the position. So we started an eBay site, and that's kind of when my obsession with like reselling happened. And obviously that money went back into the nonprofit. But I just became like obsessed. So like at the time I was living with my best friend Jen and her roommates, all from Amherst, and like they'd all laugh about how they'd come home and I'd be like in the living room with like all these clothes in the middle, and I'd be standing on the couch like taking pictures with my cell phone, and like they'd be like, dude, I'd go to Goodwill and like buy up a bunch of shit and bring it home and then resell it for like 10 times the cost.
Yo, that's badass. That's literally, I mean, that's drug dealer tendencies. That's honestly what it is. It's simple. What can you buy it at? What could you sell it at? And people don't see that like hidden gold or whatever. So
no, I've always done that. I've sold so much to my friends too. Like I've sold Jen like, she'll be like, I want them. I'm like, yeah, $40.
Well, are there any friends that like their style, so you see something, you hit them up, right? Because I was looking at the way that you tagged, or whoever runs that page, if it's not you, and GoGarbaj, and how you tagged, and I saw like random people being. So were you doing that because like either I think you would be interested in this, or? Yeah,
we definitely do that. I mean, I've done a lot of my selling even before like the store or the truck or really any real channel. Like I would just so I was actually managing at Alibi at the time when things started to really like move forward, but I still didn't have a real defined channel. I was using third party, and I would tell all the sorry, but anybody who works in the industry, like waitresses and stuff, you have cash, like you're more apt to spend it. So like I would, all of the girls that worked for me, I'd come in and I'd be like, so I have this in the car, and I would like bring in bags of clothes at work, and like and I knew who would want what. And it would just like, that's the best way to sell is person to person. And did you
like that? So one thing that I found about myself is that I do like the hand-to-hand hustle.
Yeah, I love it.
More than I like the e-commerce hustle. I know one could be more lucrative than the other, and if done the right way, it's more official, but there's something about being there. And
I love, like, in a perfect world for me, it would be, get the e-commerce going, like make this scalable, but then, work with my clients that I like to work with and sell to to clients that I'm actually like styling, because I do love to style. That's, in a perfect world. I'd like to not be tied down to a place. Like, that's the thing about a store for me that doesn't really work, is I don't want to necessarily be in one place or have to be there all the time.
Well, that's the goal.
Right.
That's the goal. Money just coming in, and you don't.
I like to work. I'll always work. I think no matter what, I'll always work. I mean,
me too.
Just.
What's your sign?
I'm a Leo.
Leo. Do you know your other signs or no?
I'm like Leo Moon, Leo.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. Have you ever gotten into a fight?
No.
Really?
Not with a female.
Oh shit. Yeah, fucking censored. I just got all the Tourage episodes onto iTunes, and I was about to do it and do not explicit, and then like Ashwin's laughing at me. My boy who makes the intros, he's like, Samson, that's definitely explicit, man. I'm like, okay, good idea. So
what are you?
So I'm Cancer Sun, Virgo Rising, and Libra Moon.
I think I'm Leo sign, Leo moon, and I think I'm Sag rising. I gotta check.
That makes sense. That would definitely make sense. But I am Leo, Mars, and Venus. So that I like. Anyways, it's a whole different part of the natal chart. What about dance?
Dance.
You know, you still have dance enthusiasts on your Instagram. Do you still dance?
I do. I love to dance. I love to dance more than I love to do anything.
More than you like to rollerblade?
More than I like to rollerblade. More than I like to hike, swim, breathe. I love to dance all the time.
So do you?
Yeah, I dance.
Actually?
Yeah, I dance at least 3 or 4 times a week.
Word. So you still do it?
Yeah, I still do it. Some of it's more like exercise driven. Like they're not Zumba, but they're like
boss check.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff. So I mix it up. I mean, I was a true like hip hop competitive dancer growing up.
And that's how you knew Coral, right?
That's how I knew Coral. Yeah, we were on team together. We traveled. Like we did pretty well. So
she teaches boss chick and booty BUTI yoga now.
I love that.
Which is great for her. So great for her.
I can totally see that.
Oh, for sure. She's meant to do it.
Yeah. 100%. And that's so funny to me because outside of her, another girlfriend, this girl Eliza, who we also grew up with, she was on team, she started Kick It, which is like she's been recognized
really
all over.
What is Kick It about?
Kick It, it's like a cardio kickboxing dance themed workout, and she's killed it. Like she has 200 people certified under her.
Oh damn. Okay.
She's traveling the world doing it, and she's another one of the girls from the team. I'm like, our teacher, our Miss Tanya was like pretty, I think she was young, and we all went with her from a studio to her opening her own studio, and she wasn't much older. She's like probably 7 years older than me. So I think she was very inspiring to all of us.
Yeah.
And we were like a family, and we were all, preteen. So it was just like, it was very impactful, I think, for us. And we were her first team, like her oldest team.
Yeah.
We became senior team.
So now when you dance, do you just do like classes or?
Classes, yeah. I mean, I got certified in Zumba. I'll probably get certified by Eliza and maybe get into teaching. And my parents owned a gym too growing up. So I always had the opportunity, but I just love it so much. Like it's the one thing that I do where I don't think about anything else. Like nothing even comes through my head. Like I just dance. And so for me, it's like I've always struggled with turning it into a monetary exchange because I love it. Like it's my release in life, and I just don't know if I want to put that kind of pressure on it.
Yeah. If you're not going to go for it to be everything. My career. Yeah. If it's not going to be your career, then probably not. Because when you were talking about it, the first thing that came to mind was like one of my best friends growing up was amazing at working on cars, loved working on cars. But he goes, but become a mechanic and watch how fucking long you like working on cars.
Right.
And that's a great metaphor for just a lot of shit that has to do with passion and how you would dumb it down and being field controlled and doing only specific kind of jobs versus the ones you actually like. So I completely could side with you with,
Then I've been in these classes, and this isn't to say that I'm like, the best out there. There's plenty of phenomenal dancers that I watch that I would die to be like, but when it comes to the classes that I'm doing, I can't imagine. I don't want to dumb it down. I don't want to slow it down. Like I want to go and just do it full throttle. So it's, unless the right opportunity came about, if it just happens to come about.
But it would just have to happen to come about.
Then I think that would be wonderful. But as for now, like it's sort of just it's my thing. It's my love of my life. So yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about hip hop, about martial arts. But when like those two things, when I'm doing,
can you fuse them? and do something with that?
I mean, I listen to hip hop while I'm doing martial arts sometimes, so I've kind of already fused them.
Can you fuse them more?
I don't know if they need to be fused more than that. I mean,
why not?
You're taking attention off of one or the other. Like,
I'm just saying, maybe there's a business there.
yeah, maybe like a class, but I'm not gonna be certifying a bunch of people in fucking just fucking Pac lines, just proper jab, Biggie, Tupac,
and like you gotta spit a lyric real quick.
Yeah, I could probably pair them up pretty well, but I like freestyling. So I've always done like hip hop ciphers, so like a cipher would be. A cipher is just anything of a group of people in a circle that are working together, but like a cipher for hip hop would be the ones that I would do in New York City would be like 10 to 15 people, and they are all either spoken word artists or hip hop artists or singers. And then there's one like MC, like maestro, that would go through and like, okay, so maybe you start on a story and then the next person would need to continue the story. Meanwhile, it is all in real time, off the dome, like freestyle rhyming, or you are talking about like you're doing like a who are you thing, or you are only staying on a specific pattern, like 13 syllables, 5 syllables, 13 syllables, 5 syllables, 13 syllables, 8, 8, 8, 13, 5, 13, and then you go back, because there's a lot of hip hop artists that if you looked at the way that they did their rhymes and you counted out syllables, they are always going to look like that. They're going to look like 6, 8, 6, 8, 6, 8.
Really?
Yeah. It's all.
That's not frowned upon? Like, you would think that. Are you saying like amateur or
no, even at the very top?
Really?
I mean, it's because if it wasn't, then it wouldn't sound good.
Okay.
It's got to be to sound good.
Okay.
So there's a lot of people that could put in words that don't technically rhyme with each other. Like the words don't technically rhyme,
but they
made the syllables work, and it sounds correct. So I would always love doing that. And I met Toni Blackman. She's like the hip hop ambassador of the United States. We have one for it's like cultural ambassador for the United Nations. I met her through doing a TED Talk at UMass, and I met a ton of people when I lived down in Stanford. And then I'm trying to do martial arts again, more than just training with my brother and just training with some of my close friends and hitting the bag and shit. I grew up doing that. Those were those independent sports that I would say I jumped to. So. Because I never feel any better than when I'm beating. You know, sometimes I just need to beat the shit out of a heavy bag, and then the rest of the world can deal with me after that. So
that seems like a good workout.
It's a very good workout. You hit all your stabilizers too, versus like your stabilizer muscles versus just doing arms. Right?
Yeah,
you're doing arms.
Like you're using your shoulders, your back, you're using everything.
And
so I should just walk around and beat people up, basically.
I mean, I don't know if I'd recommend doing that. You could, though. That'd be great. We could do a whole podcast series just on that. Rachel Fournier just beating the shit out of them, taking their clothes and reselling them. It's a 3-part series. The fight, the resell.
That's serious hustling if I'm stealing people's clothes off their backs.
Take your shoes off, motherfucker. All right. Before you go, and my dumbass still hasn't put them in a fucking cup. I don't know why I haven't done this. Have you ever heard of the game 36 Questions?
No.
No. Okay, so don't worry. I'm not going to ask you 36.
We probably should have started with that.
Yeah. No, I'm only going to ask you 2. But 36 Questions is this game that they say that you could play with any person in the world, race, color, creed, age, sex, gender, whatever the fuck it is. And after you each answer all 36, that you will love the individual sitting in front of you regardless of who they are, what they do, or anything like that. Because love has so much shit tied with it, like significant other love, but love is just love. Like,
right.
You know?
It's universal.
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be.
So the questions, they have 36. There's some that are deep. There's some that are not deep. my dumb ass, and people are going to be pissed. I've been talking about just putting them in a thing so people could shake it up and just pick one. But I'm going to ask you 2 numbers.
Oh, no.
1 to 36. And then I'm going to ask you the questions. And we'll close out the episode like that.
Okay. So 2 numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my first number is going to be 28.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
'Cause they get deeper as they go down. Where the 36 questions to fall in love. Make me go through.
So is this what you do when you go on a date? You're like, I'm going to make this girl love me. I'm going to ask her.
No. It means a long fucking dinner.
Amen.
Oh, and just so you know, so one of the things that I do on this podcast, anytime we've talked about anything specific, I make an entire timetable of contents. So, like at this part, it'll say 1 hour, whatever minutes in, right? Rachel answers question number, whatever. And, or anytime we ever talk about GoGarbaj, I'll put the actual page, I'll put everything in there. Because I would hate listening to podcasts where you think something's dope, and then you're driving and you have no idea how to get back to that book, that song, that whatever. So I'll put these in there too. But 28, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so partner meaning me. Tell your partner what you like about them. Be honest this time, saying things that you might not say to someone you've just met.
Oh, I like that.
oh shit!
All right. Well, no, I would say that I really appreciated, like, right away that you are like a very well-rounded individual.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that you're very well-rounded. I think that that's like, you don't meet a lot of people like that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Met a girl the other day. She thought I was a fucking idiot until...
What?
Yeah, because then she was doing something on her computer, and I was like, last mile of finance, and she looked at me, and she was like, didn't want to tell me about what she did for her job until she realized that I used to run a team that implemented or that would sell and talk about all the shit that she did. She just cut me out immediately.
Well, yeah. People are slobs.
People are slobs. Okay, thank you very much. I'll take that quick compliment. 1 through 36.
Let's go with 9.
Oh, that's my favorite number. Okay, Rachel, for what in your life do you feel most grateful?
Well, that's tough because my immediate reaction would be to say my health. I think that that's something that we all take for granted. I'm very grateful for my health, and to be, physically capable of doing the things that I do on top of just not being sick. Right. But I think, outside of that, and this isn't just to have a generic answer, but this was actually something I was thinking about today specifically, and I called my mother and she didn't answer.
Well, now you get it here.
But
listen, Mom.
Exactly. Can this get your attention? I told you I stayed home at my parents' house last night, and my parents owned a gym. They sold it, and they're not young. They look and act young, but they're not young. And they just they're so driven, and I'm not even talking about a financial thing or anything like that. They sold the gym that they owned last July, and they have plenty of options of what they could do now going forward, right? And my parents have decided to start a business together, and my mom just went and got her real estate license, and my dad's in his late 60s and my mom's 60, and they're so excited about their new business venture, and they're also the same people that they love to travel, and when I was I went to Hawaii, I was I love it, I could live there. They were well, then you'd have to get a 2-bedroom because we would be visiting all the time. And they mean that. They would be visiting all the time. They go
straight to do it.
They're so decisive, and they're just so full of life still. From the point where they went out last night, both of them separately. I was like, I came home, I've seen you guys in like so long. You're both going out. I'm like, you could have told me the plans before I came home. And they're like, oh, we'll be back soon. 11 o'clock, I'm sitting there with my, luckily I have friends still back home. I'm like, as my girlfriend Amelia's there, I'm like, my grandmother lives with us. So I'm like, oh my God, they tricked me into coming home so I could babysit my grandmother while they both went out. Yep. I'm like, they're so crafty.
They're crafty. You're going to do the same thing one day.
But then they came home and the three of us hung out and talked till like 1 a.m. And I just woke up today and I was like, and they were up super early, like bright and bushy-tailed, like ready to go do their things.
Bright and bushy-tailed. I'm going to start using that. Okay.
But, so, yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel most fortunate. I think a lot of the reason why I am the way that I am is like, you know, they are just so full of life and like they are so eager to do things and expand who they are and learn, and they've never been like the type to just like be in this bubble. They're very, you know, they're always trying to grow as people, and they're always trying to like grow as, you know, us as a family, and I'm really, really, really extremely grateful for that. So
that's beautiful.
I called to tell her that, and she hasn't even heard me say that.
Now she'll get to hear it, and she'll hear it like the most sincere way that it could come out.
Yeah.
Last thing you want to do is tell them, and then they're fucking doing something, and you're like, Ma!
Pay attention to me. You're on Facebook again.
That is the story of my dealing with my mom. Mom, get off Snapchat right now. I'll listen to it. She actually makes me die laughing on Snapchat.
That's awesome.
Do you read?
I do read.
You listen to books?
I know I do read. I listen
Okay.
to a lot of podcasts.
Okay.
I do. I listen to like my fair share of, you know, the news, unfortunately, which can be super depressing.
I think you'd like the book Big Magic.
Oh, yeah?
There's a part in there that just your parents' thing reminded me of it. But both of her parents, the author of the book, they just never asked for permission, right? They're like all the things that they want to do. It's kind of your version of what you said. You said you huh? That's the ghost. That's the ghost. This is now the 4th time that shit has back and forth in each headphone, and it screws it all up. But so they like your version of your parents being very decisive, right? I think that a lot of people's indecisiveness has a lot to do with feeling like they need to ask for permission first in order to do what they want to do. And this book is just really good. She's got 2 parents that are great, so I don't know, but I'll put in the timetable of contents. But yeah, it's called Big Magic. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, I'll read it.
Well, Rachel, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
All right, I'll cut it there. There you go.
Cool.